Dude, the monkeys did a number on the car. All the other cars are fine. Our car? Monkey Poo Town.
Isn't this the spot they told us to park in?
Exactly. The guy was like, leave the car right here.
Pull up to the tree.
This is where monkeys love to just sit, crap, and play with it. We left the jungle and headed for the first car wash we could find with some intriguing evidence. But when word of our discovery got out, we learned that we wouldn't be allowed to take the only cast of the footprint out of the country. So we needed to make a copy in order to undertake additional scientific analysis back in the States. And before you could say paparazzi, we found ourselves in the middle of a media storm. I never would have thought that a piece of plaster shaped like a foot would cause a media frenzy, but in Malaysia, we were headline news.
Do you think that Bigfoot really exists?
As to how conclusive this is, I think it's something unexplained. The most important thing is just that it helps to raise more questions, propels us to investigate the unknown and find the truth.
I'd gathered enough evidence to believe that there was something big roaming the jungles of Endorompen National Park. And I was off to take our evidence back to the States to get some scientific insight into the strange noise we captured on tape, and to see if the print we found in Endorompen could actually be attributed to something the likes of Bigfoot. Our first meeting was with Michael D., curator of the Los Angeles Zoo, to go over our audio evidence and see if he could identify the sounds we captured as coming from a familiar creature.
The cricket noises, but there's a noise throughout it. There's a kind of a drony noise.
What do you think?
It's obviously something, but that certainly doesn't sound like a mammal that I'm familiar with.
That noise isn't something that you can readily identify?
No.
Unable to get anything definitive from our audio evidence, we hoped that the cast we made would provide some answers. So we flew to Idaho State University, where we met with Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, one of the country's foremost primatologists and also the resident Bigfoot expert, to see what he made of our footprint.
My research involves primate and human evolutionary biology. So that's what brings my interest particularly to footprints, both ape and human and pre-human. So this is right up my alley. I'm very anxious to take a look at this and see if what you have really suggests an unknown bipedal primate.
Let's take a look at the actual cast, and you can tell us what you think.
Well, there are a number of things that are puzzling about this. Primate foot has a tendency for a natural kind of curvature. The point being that the divergent toe is typically on the inside of that curvature. Whereas here, we've got the opposite situation where what you might think would be a rudimentary first digit, it's on the opposite side one might expect. It's sticking off to what would otherwise be interpreted as the outside edge of the foot.
Sure.
So that is really odd and unusual. And in this situation, you're always at the mercy of your own interpretation of what you see as a series of impressions. Considering all the particulars, I think it boils down to essentially three possibilities. One is it's just a series of potholes that have a strong resemblance to the eye, resembling a foot. The other possibility would be that it is the superimposition of the track of a commonly known animal, say a rhinoceros. The third possibility would be that, in fact, this may represent a plantigrade pentadactyl foot, a flat five-toed foot, which has some resemblances to reports of Bigfoot and footprint evidence from North America.
While the indentation in the ground might have been just a pothole as suggested by Dr. Meldrum, the pronounced digits in the track-like pattern discovered in the area was certainly unusual and were consistent with the eyewitness reports which had sent us to that very location. We did capture a strange growling sound that Michael D. couldn't attribute to any known mammal, and something knocked over our camera. Based on our evidence, I feel it's possible that a large unknown creature could have made a home in Endorompen, and it's clearly only a matter of time before I end up back in the jungle looking for Bigfoot. Perhaps next time with a bigger net. In the meantime, however, I read reports of a giant lake monster terrorizing a resort town in southern Argentina. The creature is called the Nahuelito. The Nahuelito is the Latin version of the Loch Ness Monster and is reported to share similar features to its Scottish counterpart. It is described as having a large hump, a long neck, and a head that looks kind of like that thing that explodes out of John Hurt's chest in Alien. Witnesses have suggested that the Nahuelito travels in and out of its home in Nahuelhuapi Lake by slithering through a 300-mile underwater tunnel system leading to the Pacific Ocean, meaning that 1, it's not an easy creature to track, and 2, it apparently has a lung capacity rivaling Lance Armstrong. So we packed up and hopped a plane to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to meet with Fabian, a local reporter who claims to have caught the creature on camera.
So we have to take another cab because his car just broke down.
Taxi, don't worry.
Sure, okay.
Does this happen often? Car breaking down?
Too hot today.
Too hot today.
Too hot today to drive.
Too hot today for the car.
All right.
Okay, so it's okay. Hey, what are you going to do? We need another cab.
Car breaks down.
And here's the tow truck, right on time. It's amazing. It takes 20 minutes to get a cab, 2 minutes to get a tow truck. Doesn't make any sense.
With our taxi out of commission, I took a bus to the Natural History Museum, where we met with Fabian.
You believe as a journalist that there is enough evidence to support the idea that a creature of this size could be living in this lake?
Yo creo que algo hay. No podría decir qué cosa, pero algo hay. De hecho, hay una imagen.
He says yes, absolutely. There's definitely something there.
While working as a reporter at a local news station, Fabian claimed to have caught the monster on film.
Who actually shot the footage?
Uno de nuestros camarógrafos.
One of their cinematographers.
Cerro.
He came down the mountain.
Y lo vio en el lago.
And he saw it in the lake.
Prendió la cámara.
And that's when he turned on the camera.
Actual footage of a creature seemingly born out of nightmares and folktales right here on video. I couldn't wait to see it with my own eyes.
Sí, y dobló. Hay más, hay more.
Oh my God.
So here we were in Buenos Aires watching professionally captured news footage of the Nahuelito. It seemed as if South America's answer to the Loch Ness Monster was ready for its close-up.
Oh yeah.
Dio la vuelta. Sí, y dobló. Hay más, hay more.
Oh my God.
Oh, there is something really big out there.
Alright, maybe close-up was too strong a word for it. This was more like nosebleed seats at the Super Bowl. But what I could make out suggested that it wasn't a seagull or a local water skier making waves in the Nahuelito Lake.
Thank you very much for showing us this footage. I actually find this footage very, very interesting.
I certainly wanted to get to the bottom of the sightings, and one thing was for sure, I wasn't going to find a giant lake monster in downtown Buenos Aires.
Gracias. There you go.
My team and I caught the next plane to Bariloche, a town nestled high in the Andes and on the edge of the Nahuelito Lake, the spot where the creature reportedly calls home. The Nahuelito is, after all, named after it. Covering a surface area of about 2,927 square miles and with a depth of over 2,000 feet, similar to that of Loch Ness, this was the perfect spot for a giant prehistoric serpent to call home. Upon arrival in Bariloche, I interviewed another eyewitness, Coley, a local journalist who had his own experience with this monster in the same section where Fabian's footage was originally shot. We hopped a chairlift to high atop the mountain where Coley was able to point out the exact spot where he claimed to have seen the Nahuelito.
You saw two fins coming out of the water?
Yeah.
Like a double arch?
Like a double arch.
And they were moving?
And yes, they were moving, walking speed.
Okay.
Maybe 6-7 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
Right.
So you were able to follow the fins for how long?
A minute or two.
So quite a long time.
Quite a long time, yeah.
And all these people were on the shore walking along following this?
Everyone was, yeah.
But all of those people who were there that day, they all believe?
They all believe.
That's a common experience where they all believe they saw something big in the water?
Yes.
And so, what do you think we're talking about here? You think it's a dinosaur? Do you think we're talking about just a fish that's not supposed to live in these waters?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.